Impete Washte, Tuni Tukahal Kola. I come to you with the Chante Washte, good heart. I was sitting here for a while before I even started this video and thinking about what was once told to me. How can you live for the people if you're busy living for yourself? And I had to think about that. And I had to think about how that applied to my life and what there was to be learned by what I was being told. I came out into the woods with the Chanupa to pray. And when I was done praying, I was told, how can you live for the people if you're busy living for yourself? And I was struggling with something at the time, and I was experiencing some heartache and some confusion. And I was told, embrace the lesson, not the pain. If you embrace the pain, you're going to miss the lesson. And so my journey began. For a lot of people, with what's going on in the world, it's created inconvenience. For me, it's given me time to spend every day out in the woods with the water, the trees, the animals. To be able to balance and load the sacred Chanupa and send prayers up. And if you look, you look off behind me here, down there. It's a beautiful scenery. Beautiful. I say Wopala to my Oneida tribe. They do a lot of work to keep these trails cleared out here, so that there's trails that go all the way through here and all the way along here and all the way around our reservation, so that we are able to come out to places like this. We're able to find our way out to places like this, that there's ways that are cleared for us, so that we're able to do that. Otherwise we'd be trudging through trees and brush and woods. And this makes it possible for parents and their children to be able to come out together and do these things, see these sights. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot to be learned out here. Nature will teach us a lot about ourselves and a lot about life. When you get away from the world, when you take time to get out into these settings, this environment, listening to this water is very soothing. It's almost like a lullaby. I could just sit here and fall asleep, take a nap, sleep out here. It's beautiful. I come to you today in a very humble way, and I humble myself before my Creator and my relatives, before you all, and I ask you to keep my family in your prayers. My uncle's getting ready to pass on here any day. Could be today, could be tomorrow. I went and seen him yesterday, and they had given him his last rites. So, I pray for my uncle's journey, and I pray for my father's strength too. My father and my uncle are very close. I pray that my father's strong. He's able to get through this challenging time. I don't know that I have a lot to say today. I'm just really taking in the energy out here. It's quite amazing. I guess what I'd like to say is for each and every one of you that you have your own struggles that you're dealing with on a daily basis. Remember your purpose. Remember why you're here. Take time to center yourself and find out what it is that you need to be doing, what it is you could be doing. Take time to get out and see things like this. You know, life is precious and we're only here for a short time. And you can be stuck where you're at, or you can go out and you can experience things. You don't have to travel the world to see the world. This little piece of a reservation right here is a big piece of my world, and there's so much beauty in it. You know, the things that we take for granted. Grew up here my whole life. This is home. It'll always be home. I come out here and stand by this water, and I can remember fishing trips with my grandfather when I was young. When I was just a kid. You know, my grandfather passed when I was 9 years old, so I was pretty young. And I remember those fishing trips with my grandpa and my uncle. And a lot of times we walked along these creeks. And there weren't trails, so we had to walk and trudge through the woods. Used to walk all the way down here, and this goes all the way around. And this goes all the way back. If you follow it all the way down, it goes all the way back to the golf course and all the way back down to Crampton Park. We were poor growing up as kids, so we didn't have a lot. So our entertainment was walking these creeks sometimes. We'd walk these creeks all the way from here, all the way down to Crampton Park, either with a fishing pole, or we'd have a coffee can and a fork, and we'd spear crayfish. You know, and I think about these memories, and I think about life, and I think about growing up here. I think about all the things that have happened here through my life and what I've learned. But nothing more important than the things that I'm learning right now. And that's truly to get out of myself and stop living for me. And do everything I can to give back to the world around me, even if it is just prayers. Those prayers are powerful, and healings happen through prayers. I've witnessed a lot of things that have happened since I've been on this path. I've had my experiences where I've, many people that know me, know I've had my experiences where I've walked away from my spirituality. I've taken a much darker path and have come back. Picked up the medicines that I was called to carry, and started getting serious. Started getting serious about life, started getting serious about the solutions and being a solution, living in a solution, and not being a part of the problem. You know, there's a lot of self-pity, there's a lot of that out there. You know, people can sit and say, why me, why me, why me, why not you? Why not you? I remember standing and saying that, I was chosen to carry medicine. And I said, why me? I'm no saint. And what I was told was God made saints out of murderers and thieves. Why not you? And it was a little hard to argue with that, and when I start putting the Creator first, the medicines first, the Creator started putting me first. Started showing me things. Because as a human, my mind is the weakest thing that I have. And I continually doubt that things are going to work out. I need a job. This bill's due and I don't have the money. I got to come up with rent. This or that, whatever it is. It's always worked out. Always worked out. And I've been shown that, and yet, even though I can be given signs, I mean signs, just like getting hit right in the face with a board, I can still doubt. That's how weak my mind is, you know. I have a good heart, strong spirit, and a weak mind. And the weak mind that I have is what always needs to work. I'll never be perfect. I'll never be better than anybody else. Never will try to be. If all I do for the rest of my life is walk through this world and set the best possible example I can for the people around me, then that's what I'll do. That's what that's what I need to do. I know what it's like to be a bad example. You know, I know what it's like to be a piss poor son. I know what it's like to be a piss poor brother, cousin, friend, you know, relative. I know what it's like to be piss poor, all of that, you know. But today I'd like to believe, you know, that the man that I'm becoming today, that my relatives, my family, my friends, that they all respect and appreciate the path I'm on today. I know I respect myself a lot more. And I have a lot more love in my heart, a lot more compassion than I ever had, and a lot less ego, you know. You know, one of the hardest things for most of us men to address is ego and pride. We're raised to be strong, no matter what your background is. Since we're little boys, our parents, our fathers are preparing us to be men. And the men that they're preparing us to be is what their definition of a man is. You know? And some of those definitions can be pretty messed up. Some of us are raised to never show our feelings. Some of us are raised to be hard. Some of us are raised to never show fear. You know? And so through life, I went through great lengths to never show fear. And yet what I'd come to realize was that I was terrified. I was terrified. I was terrified of life. I was terrified of getting hurt. I was terrified of violence. And my solution to that was violence, was insanity. But like I tell my Creator when I load that sacred pipe, I will never stand before you a victim. I will never stand before you feeling sorry for myself for anything that I've experienced in my life, no matter what the abuses were, no matter what the tragedies were. I will never stand before my Creator or any of you and view myself a victim for anything I've experienced. My greatest gifts have come through my greatest pain. What I view tragedies have actually become my strength. What I viewed as failures have actually become my successes. That's why I say, you know, for people who knew me coming up and what I was like, you know, and where I'm at today, you know, they know the change. They've seen the change. I ain't boastful about it. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for what life has taught me. And the thing is, I'm grateful that I was allowed another chance. You know, this is one of the reasons why I say never judge anybody. Never judge where anybody's at, what path they're on. It doesn't matter, because you could look at them and think that they're the most messed up human being that there is, because I was one time too. People change. We don't know how the Creator's going to bring them to themselves, to Himself. Sometimes persons got to be brought to their knees before they completely surrender to the Creator's will and why it is that they're here to begin with. Life is fast. It goes by in a snap. Before we know it, it's gone. You can squander it, Are you going to go after some happiness? Find out what that happiness is for you and go after it. Don't take your blessings for granted. Don't take each other for granted. We're only here for a brief while. Generations are going to come and go. And, one day, this video, if it still exists, if YouTube still exists, somebody will watch it. They'll remember this spot down here at this stream, and they'll remember that there once was a man by the name of Dave that walked this earth and stood in this spot. He's now just a memory. And I guess today, with the changes that I've chose for myself in my life, that memory will be a better one than what I could have left. So when I see people who are struggling on their path, I can respond to them with ego, I can respond to them with pride, I can respond to them with violence, I can respond to them with anger or hostility, judgments, but really what purpose does that serve? Who am I? Who am I to look down my nose at anyone or to judge anyone? And these are the things I got to remember when I'm struggling with myself, with my pride, with my ego, with my mind. So my greatest teacher in my change, in my direction, has been out here. Has been the things that I've experienced while I'm out here. When I get done loading this sacred Chinoopa, when I get done praying with it and send those prayers up, this is my piece of heaven right here. And there's no greater place I'd rather spend the rest of my days than right here. If I could every day, I'd be out here every day. Unfortunately, I have to work for a living. Unless you all want to kick in and make me rich, I'll spend every day out here praying. One of the things I realize is there's a lot of places I like to see in the world. But like I said, this small reservation we call Oneida, this will always be my home, no matter where I go. We have some people that refer to some of our tribal members that move off the reservations as urban Indians. There's no such thing. You're born native, you'll die native. There's no such thing between country Indian and urban Indian. We're all one people, we're all native. Some of our relatives, when we were growing up, a lot of you remember this, how poor it was out here. We had, 4 taverns and nothing else. A little small store up at the top and a gas station at the top of the hill. There was no casinos, there was no bingo halls, there was nothing. Racism was really bad back then. So a lot of our men who had families had to move off of the reservation to find work because there wasn't much. There wasn't much in this area, much out here. So a lot of them had to move off. They didn't have a choice. You think they wanted to move away from their families, their relatives, their own people? They didn't have a choice. They had to move to bigger cities, Milwaukee, Appleton, Manitowoc, maybe different states, to do whatever they had to provide for their wife and their children. So, when I think about that, term, I don't know why that popped into my head, but when I think of that term, urban Indian, there is no such creature. We're all one people that did what we had to survive in a time that was dark when we were coming up, when there was a lot of hatred, a lot of anger, and a lot of prejudice. We don't have to carry that in our hearts today, though. We can be the change and we can be the message, And that's exactly what I intend to do, to share with people my views, my thoughts, Doesn't matter whether you're black, red, yellow, or white. We're all relatives. We're all just one people. We're all family, And I don't think I'd have it any other way. It makes it a beautiful world, all the different colors. got to be boring if it was just black and white. There was no gray area. Everybody brings something special to the table, to a special part of their culture and who they are. So I guess wanted to share that much with you on what I think and how I feel about some things. I never know what I'm going to say when I come out here. I just kind of shoot from the hip. I take a look at the surroundings by me, and I just let the energy fill me, and I just kind of go with what's in my heart, you know. And a better life and a better future for you, for my son, for our children, for your grandchildren. That's what we really want. We want to leave them something special. We want to leave them better memories than we had. And who wouldn't? We love each other that much, and we should love each other's children and their future that much that we give everything and devote everything to it. You know? There's a lot of things happening in the world, and it seems that there's, you know, the more that things get carried away, there's different theories, there's different ideas, I guess, conspiracy theories, things like that. It's hard to know what to believe. But it doesn't really matter if we stand together. Just remember that. We have to stand together. We have to stick together. No matter what we're faced with in our future, put God, the Creator, first. Stand together as one. And there's nothing that can stop us from moving forward. There's nothing that can destroy us but us. So this is a time for healing, and we can all heal together. So I hope you all have a blessed day. I hope you got something out of this message. And I say, Dokasha.